Good morning, NE10 fans. Welcome back to another episode of Coffee with the Commish here with Julie Ruppert. Julie, thank you so much for joining us once again.
It's good to be here.
There's been a lot going on, certainly the last few weeks. We're getting back to a form of normalcy in the NE10, which is nice to see. That said, a couple weeks ago, the NE10 made an announcement that they would pursue spring sports. What went into those conversations in terms of determining the status of spring sports? And what can you share about the health and safety protocol that the league has established during this spring semester?
Well, it's hard to believe that this today actually marks a year since we made our initial postponement of spring 2020 competition. And I think back to those days, and we all thought we'd be back on the field in a month, and little did we know it would take a year. And over the course of the year, I can tell you it's taken maybe even hundreds of hours of dialogue between various groups and, health and medical professionals and athletics practitioners and college presidents. I mean, you name it, we've talked to them over the last year, and certainly our efforts to ensure that we could make a return to the playing fields have intensified since the start of the calendar year 2021 in a real and earnest attempt to get us back for these spring sports. So when we got the green light in February, it was the result of just a lot of careful thought and deliberation around what that could look like. So for the major thing I think our NE10 community needs to know is that we will be adhering to our own conference standards that exceed NCAA guidance in these areas. It was part because we want to make sure that we're testing regularly and that we can assure each other that people are healthy when they step out on that field. And certainly appropriate in the month of March to just really publicly thank our sport medicine and athletic trainers professionals in this National Athletic Training Month.
It's certainly this past year has brought so many difficulties, one of which has been to make a schedule in almost any facet of your life and stick to it, let alone making spring schedules for several different sports. What can you share about what went into the development of our spring sports schedules, specifically with a couple of different formats than usual?
I would say to our entire NE10 community, emphasizing health and safety as our guidepost for this spring. It was really about maximizing opportunities while minimizing time away from campus, if that makes sense. So if we use those two basically parallel marching orders, we were able to do a sport by sport examination, our athletic administrators, and devised a robust competitive schedule that fit within NCAA maximums that have been reduced for this academic year. So provide the maximum number of contests really within the league, because we could assure ourselves that we're providing a safe environment with regard to testing, and reduce the time away, the number of times you have to travel on a bus or stay in a hotel. And so that really led us to outside the box thinking when it comes to our schedules for this spring. We're approaching the start line next week with the start of conference play. If we get to the finish line and can have teams been involved in playing even a majority of their conference season and proceeding through and having a positive experience, then we'll consider this a success. So it certainly doesn't look like it has in the past, but we've done the best we can for sure.
One thing that came out this week that was interesting is the NE10's attendance policy. Certainly something a lot of people were interested in. Can you explain some about the attendance policy, as well as another item that there hasn't been too much clarity on yet, certainly from the league perspective and the public perspective, in terms of postseason format for the league? Those two particular items.
Yeah, so attendance, as much as student athletes want to get on back onto the field of play, so do our parents and our NE10 fans. And what we're saying to all of them is we ask you to just have patience a little bit longer to start. And again, using that health and safety as our primary purpose and allowing for our event management staff and our campus professionals to focus on the contest itself and not on the health and welfare of fans in the stands right now. We did make the decision that at this point in time, no outside spectators will be permitted on NE10 campuses for those competitions. So no family or friends of either the home or the visiting team. We just really need to focus all of our efforts on safely returning, these students to the sports they love. And for now, that leaves us in the unfortunate conclusion that parents and family and friends aren't allowed. We hope that as the spring goes on, we will be able to revisit that, but we're making no guarantees in the short term. And then we do hope, though, that some institutions will determine on their own whether or not residential students could potentially attend. Again, people that are within a COVID tested community of the campus. So that's where we are on that. And then again, in really what we think is a fairness issue and an equity issue is gaining the unanimous support of our presidents this week on expansion of our championship field sizes for spring of 2021 only, but fully recognizing that student athlete experience this spring, it won't be what it has been in the past. And the ability for us to say to every team that's putting on a uniform this spring that you'll have an opportunity to compete for an NE10 championship in May was really important to us. Student athletes have been so patient and they have been amazingly resilient over the past 12 months. Feels like 12 years. And, they've hung with us. And so now this is an opportunity for us to say to them, you'll all have a shot to be crowned conference champion. So we don't know all the details, certainly looking to release that in the next several weeks. We've got some good people working on how that's exactly going to work, but we know the big picture, and the big picture is that they'll be placed in the postseason for all of our teams.
And as you said, Julie, today marks 1 year since the conference, postponed spring competition, a postponement that we never could have imagined lasted as long as it did. But here we are on the cusp of a new spring sports season. What is your message to NE10 student athletes and to the coaches?
Well, I would first just say thank you. Thank you for hanging in. Thank you for your resilience. Thank you for your dedication not only to your institution and re-enrolling and being the good students that you all are, but enjoy it, right? I mean, as we've learned, nothing is promised. It doesn't look like it has in the past, and we're still certainly all striving towards that return to normalcy that likely won't happen until the next academic year. But in the meanwhile, I think we can just celebrate and rejoice in the moment of being back and participating in the sports that we love. And so again, just to thank you and the best of luck to all of our teams and our coaches and our athletic trainers who will be there to support, and our facility staffs that'll be staging contests for the first time. Everybody feels pretty invigorated. So let's go. Let's play.
Let's play indeed. And on behalf of everyone else, thank you, Julie, for your leadership at this time the past year. And thank you again for joining us this morning with Coffee with the Commish. We'll see you soon.
Thanks.